Okay, welcome to Pitch Please. That's right. That's what we're really calling this, aka The Lion, the Pitch and the Wardrobe. My name is Matt Waters. I'm joined by Ben Phillips. I'm going to say as always because this is our new show where we pitch things. Ben, how are you on this first ever edition?
I'm good. I feel less prepared than I probably should be for this, but...
Well, needs must, and we're going to be tackling a lot of stuff, so I figure we're going to be less prepared for each individual thing, so it's fine, because it's an overall. So this podcast is going to be me and Ben pitching things to each other, really, and I guess you. And we'll pick a different topic each time, and it's like, how would you do this? How would you, reboot it? How would you follow it up? How would you, whatever, pitch, remix, fix, whatever. And our topic this time, timely, because the Defenders just finished, and you can actually read thoughts that we have in written form. It's not just podcasts here. Entertherealworld.com, that's 2 E's, Real World. And you can read myself, Mike Thomas, and Ben's thoughts on the Defenders. So, given that, we are pitching the second phase of the Marvel Netflix verse. And that, as Ben pointed out, technically includes The Punisher, but as they've literally filmed that already, that's going to be... I mean, they've filmed Jessica Jones, but either way. Probably going to talk a little bit less about Punisher than the others, but... And, there's a chance they throw in, like, a Moon Knight or someone, but for right now, we're basically focusing on the big four that we've seen already for their next seasons, and I guess Punisher. And just things we would like to see from them going forward. And I will have the Herculean task of talking people into being excited for Iron Fist Season 2 as the world's foremost fan of Iron Fist. So I look forward to that, everyone. I guess we should start with Punisher then. That trailer does not fill me with good thoughts. It looks like murder porn to me. I'm not a huge expert on the Punisher. I understand you have read a little bit, so I guess you're more qualified to answer this than me. But I think it's going to be really tricky, because how do you do this character... Like, he murders people, and he's going to be the hero, and Karen is going to be a regular recurring character, and we saw her thoughts on what Matt does in Daredevil and Defenders, so it's like, how's this all going to work? I don't know, is he just going to be off taking down his former military associates and just murdering lots and lots of people, but shot beautifully? I don't know. What, as more of a Punisher fan than me, what do you want to see from this Punisher series? How would you go about finessing that whole he murders people thing?
I mean, the Punisher's just complicated, because obviously he came about in that kind of 1970s era, just before it got really, really dark and everyone was kind of like the Punisher kind of thing. And then it took until the late 90s for him to actually get kind of like a decent writer behind it, and that's when Garth Ennis kind of came onto the show and started writing like a good Punisher story. And then, but the most interesting part of that Punisher story is by doing the kind of, he came out of Vietnam, which is so intrinsic to the comic book version of Frank Castle, is he's out of Vietnam and is basically dealing with the kind of how messed up the Vietnam War was and what it does to the people, like the people who came out of it. And the most interesting version of that is the one that's in the Max imprint, where he like gets old over the course of the series and dies in the end.
Oh.
Like, there is an out-of-continuity version of the Punisher where, over the course of this series, he just gets older and older and older, and then eventually he dies.
So, an age makeup wearing John Bernthal getting old and dying. I'm into it.
I mean, it's better than if they did, like, Frankencastle.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, having read, like, because Garth Ennis has done both in-continuity and out-of-continuity Daredevil, Punisher stuff, and he is kind of the Punisher writer of, like, I don't think there's another writer who you'd kind of go to kind of pull from this stuff. But my issue is a lot of Punisher's kind of very, that kind of like voiceover and kind of like narrating everything he's doing and explaining all in that kind of noirish detail kind of thing, which I don't think John Bernthal's strength is going to be narrating over what's happening on the screen and doing like these long monologues.
Yeah, but you say that, but like that scene where he talks to Matt about his daughter was one of the strongest. And
oh yeah, no, I'm not saying he can't do monologues, but I'm saying I would hate to watch a Punisher show where it's literally narration the entire time as he's going like, I pack my gun, I shoot the guy in the head, his brain splat on the back of the wall, that kind of comic book narration you get from this kind of stuff. So, I mean, if I was doing Punisher, I would go for Greg Rucka did a run on Punisher kind of in 2011, which was Punisher was just a force of nature, where it was kind of told from both the police and the criminals' point of view. And basically it would just be like criminals doing a thing, and then the Punisher would come through and just murder everyone, and then he would go, and then the police would come to the crime scene and just kind of like try and piece together the pieces of this just utter carnage that's happened.
Are we Gotham Centraling?
Yes, that's what I want. I want a Gotham Central type version of Punisher, where John Bernthal is just a force of nature coming through murdering criminals, and it's about the police force going like, well, he's killing these murderers, but also he's killing them. Yeah. And that kind of, you're grappling with it from the side of the law, and that to me sounds so much more interesting and so much more like there's so much more to work with there, rather than like, again, like Punisher lives and dies on like, or like my interest in the series lives and dies on like the strength of the supporting cast, and it looks like they're surrounding a lot of Punisher stuff with like military and NSA and those kind of figures, which gives me some hope, but
yeah. I mean, there's an audience there for that. 24 was a very popular show, and like that's different from a lot of what Marvel do. I mean, I guess Captain America, Winter Soldier was, you know, a political thriller, military type espionage thing. I guess they could go down that hole. She's not part of the cast, but do you know who would be good for this? And it wouldn't actually make sense because she's moving away from her police career, but Misty Knight, with her sort of ability to perfectly picture a crime scene, I could imagine her showing up and like seeing how Frank murdered everyone with some sort of noiry detective stuff going on. That'd be quite cool.
I would love that as well, because the showrunner for Punisher is going to be Steve Lightfoot, who is probably best known for his time on Hannibal. So
yeah,
you just kind of Will Graham, Misty Knight. So that would be the dream. Oh.
I just really hope it isn't just sort of violence fetish porn, you know? Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that... Look, I appreciate good gunplay. Like, one of my favourite films is The Raid. I can't really knock anyone for, like, getting off on very well-shot violence, but I hope there's that extra layer to it. And, you know, with his wife and kid dead, like, there's not really a lot of people for him to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, the most successful Punisher thing that has happened was that Punisher Warzone movie, which is basically just a dumb, fun action movie. And I don't think that's what they're going to go for on this. I think they're going to go for something a bit more intellectual.
Yeah.
As intellectual.
Is he taking down the ring of his former comrades?
Yeah, and
because he had that CD and the picture, and I don't know. I'll watch it. Obviously, I'm there day one. Everything with Marvel, I'm the big old mark for Marvel, and I apologise for everything they do. But you know, I'm not hugely excited about it. But you know, what you said there about, you know, maybe he's a force of nature, and it's about piecing together what he's doing, and like maybe the detectives are trying to like put together his crime scenes into like what's he going after and try and like beat him to it. That might be
cool. That again, that's how I would go about a Punisher story in this day and age, because that it plays to the strengths of the medium. Like, we know that cop shows work, and you throw in a superhero type wrinkle, that becomes more interesting.
You have your Jim Gordon cop who like sympathises with Punisher even though he's breaking the law. You have your cop who's all like, he's murdering people, Bill. I don't know who this guy's called. Yeah, I think that could work quite well. Alright, well, that's that pitch. It has been pitched. I approve of the pitch. So let's move on to, I guess if we went in the order that they've appeared already, I guess Daredevil would be next, but you're going to be doing most of the talking on this one too.
Daredevil's a complicated one, because... I mean,
Should we push that? Should we push that? Let's push that.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jessica Jones, because I feel that's like a surefire one that is coming soonish, because I think they filmed all of it like immediately after Defenders. Jessica Jones is great. You like lady detectives. I like any kind of detective. So I also like lady detectives by extension. I would actually like to see it be more of a detective show. I'm not saying that she didn't do any detecting in season 1, but I would like to see it less about like an inevitable march towards a big supervillain who she has to plot how to take down, and more of just... I mean, Mike Thomas hates procedural shows. I'm not like huge on them, but I kind of would dig just seeing her do sort of a case of the week type thing, and then a bigger plot emerges from that.
Oh, 100%. Like that's my big complaint about all these Netflix shows, is that they are scared of the episode.
Yeah.
And it's a big complaint of kind of like most Netflix shows, but it feels like the issue with a lot of the Marvel Netflix shows is they go like, what's our big plot for the season? And Jessica Jones season 1 had that. The entire season is focused on Kilgrave.
Yeah.
And when
the closer she gets to actually taking him down, the worse it gets.
Yeah, it's like there's that 2 episodes, like 8 and 9 at the very end, where it's like, oh, this is like ramping up, and then they go like, but we can't have it happen yet, so we're going to spend 4 episodes.
Kilgrave and Son.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I'd love to see, like, I mean, you've got so many different ideas you could do for this. Just have Jerry Hogarth calls her up and wants some photos for a client or something like that, or you've just got Kilgrave has sleeper agents who've like been told to do stuff 6 months after he died. Yeah. And like and Jessica Jones has to deal with that, not it being Kilgrave, but it being like someone doing something on his behalf and having to figure out what he was thinking of, and you can do that in these nice contained episodic things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's weird. Like I can't think of what an overarching season pitch for Jessica Jones is, because season 1 was so all encompassingly about Kilgrave.
Yeah, and he's not going away. We've seen that he's going to be in it as, I hope, a memory.
Yeah, but like I can definitely pitch you a really nice 13-episode one-off story type thing that builds into a bigger thing. Like, again, exactly how Veronica Mars worked. Like if I was going to say anything, like you base your structure as something similar to Veronica Mars season 1, which is probably my favourite season of television that ever like incorporated this episode. It's an episodic feel, but like with stuff every episode that builds up to the overall kind of mystery of the season. And that's what I think they should be going for.
Yeah.
I mean, and Melissa Rosenberg had time on Dexter, which again is very similar in that kind of thing, where it's every week Dexter has to go kill someone, but also he has to build into a overarching thing of the series tracking down a big serial killer. Like,
John Lithgow, I gotcha. He's going to be the villain of Jessica Jones season 2. It is hard to follow up Kilgrave, I would say. It's a very unique villain. You know, that general dynamic that she's got all this strength, but it doesn't matter because he can control people. Like, that's hard to follow up. So I think that is another reason why you kind of stray away from the one big villain and you go for more, something's going on, this operation, I've got to like get to the bottom of it. Because I think that well, this is a really obvious statement, but the most intriguing and fun thing about her is she's just going about her life and happens to be super strong. Like, it's not a thing for her, really. Like, it helps her do her job, but it's not, like, who she is. And, like, you see it in the Defenders. Like, they're all, like, having their big superhero team-up, and she's just like, I'm going to go and, like, look through some archives, because that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I had the most fun in Jessica Defenders with was, oh, look, she's being a detective and she's getting the confidence to go back into this after this hugely traumatic event happens in her life. Like, I'm excited to see her be a PI.
Yeah. And I also think, like, I think hers has the most legs to, I don't know if they're necessarily going to do this, but I see no reason why in a post-Defenders world these characters don't cross over more. It's not that I need, like, Matt to be in Jessica Jones for, like, 5 episodes or anything, but there's no reason why she can't, while chasing a lead, like, be like, right, I'll go ask Luke if he knows anything about this, and like you see Luke for a nice like 10-15 minute scene and then he's out. You know, like, I think she could like meet up with all these characters as part of her investigations, and I think they do need to cross over more, and I think she has a good capacity to do that in a way that isn't too sort of stunty. But I would like to see her to have more scenes with Matt, because as you said, they had no right having as much chemistry as they did, but they worked really well together in Defenders.
Yeah. I am looking at the list of people who are apparently going to be in season 2, and I'm seeing that Will Travel is not back for season 2 of Jessica Jones at this point in time.
Who's Will Travel?
He was Will Simpson, aka Nuke.
Oh no!
He's not back.
Oh no! I'm devastated. Oh yeah, because she's going to be looking into what are they called, like UGH or something like that.
Yeah,
the company that did what they did to her and made Nuke and may have been tied in with the super serum of Captain America. That's right. Look out for Chris Evans to cameo.
More on that in the Daredevil segment.
What about Patsy? Do you want to see Patsy become a superhero?
Yes, I do. I want to see Hellcat so badly.
Yeah.
The best thing about all these Marvel Netflix shows is that every single one of them has got like one of the, not the strongest, but like one of Marvel's best like superheroic characters who isn't like in that super A-stream thing, A-team thing where you've got Hellcat, you've got Misty Knight, you've got Colleen Wing, like you've got these really strong female characters who would never ever get a movie based around them, or never ever get to be front and center of a TV show, but you get to show a spotlight on them. And I think Trish is the furthest away from becoming a proper superhero, but she's the one I'm most excited to see become one.
She could maybe do with some more martial arts training from maybe one of the best martial artists in the Marvelverse. Colleen's around, so she could train her. We could have a nice little Daughters of the Dragon plus Patty type thing. I don't know. More on this later. So yeah, Jessica Jones, I feel they know what they're doing with that show and that character. So, you know, I feel they've got it, but there's our pitch.
As long as Nuke does not appear in season 2, I'll be very happy.
I'm 100% sure he's going to appear, but never mind. Just if you're going to do it, have him appear at the very end or something. Don't like have him as a regular thing. I actually thought that character was well played up until he actually became Nuke at the end. I thought he was charming in some way.
He was fine.
Him and Jessica having like a dick measuring contest, I always thought was funny. But
he was fine until he got blown up by Kilgrave, and then he kind of became
an asshole. Well, he was already kind of an asshole in some ways. Anyway, Luke Cage. Let's do Luke Cage next. I feel that has also been filmed or is filming. This is a tough one for me. I don't really know a huge amount about Luke Cage. I never really read any of his stuff, and it's a difficult character because, like, I mean, he's kind of got a bit of that Superman problem going on, where it's like no one can really hurt him. But they did a nice job of like. Because at one point I remember saying to myself, why doesn't he just walk into Cottonmouth's office and just get him? Because what they're going to do is shoot him. But they did a nice job of like finding ways to create consequences for his actions that, you know, like making him back down by like going after like the people of Harlem and stuff like that. So I think that it's a tricky task they've got. And I don't know. I think some of my favourite scenes from season 1 were him just sort of going out and like helping the people and people being enthusiastic about him as like the hero of Harlem. My worry is that it's sort of trodden ground and that Mariah and Shades, I mean, they're not going to be as good as Cottonmouth, are they? Like, they were fine, but
I think it's weird because I remember you complaining that like you saw it as such a perfect season of not perfect season, but like perfectly encapsulated season of television that you couldn't see where it was going to go afterwards. And then you hit Defenders, and literally Luke Cage is the only one that's going like, I need to start the second season of my television show right now.
Yeah, but I just don't buy that it takes him that long to bust these two after he's done everything he's done, you know? Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a long, drawn-out affair.
Fair. I mean, I like the idea of them trying to go legit, and it kind of, I mean, this is turning into like more of a PI type thing where like Luke's trying to uncover the fact that they're not legit. Yeah, they're not legit. But like that's how you would do it. Is Mariah is like trying to like go legit or like legit with like side earnings on the side, and Luke's trying to like figure out a way to like find out where this is going and stuff like that. Like there are ways you can do this. Be more episodic. Like don't
Luke helping out neighborhood kids.
Yeah, like I mean, I think this is a show that has its tone down very, very well. I'm just not sure.
Stylistically, I always liked it. It's just it really fell off the tracks when they brought in Diamondback for me.
See, the thing is, but even then, I think it had the most interestingly structured first season of all these shows. Like, I think Daredevil season 1 is still the king of it being structured more or less well. And then Luke Cage went for a kind of thing where it's like, we're going to have 2 halves of the season with the big bad in both halves. But then they made the mistake of but there's the plot line that's running throughout it all, and they don't really have that clear delineating point in between the two of them. So Cottonmouth goes, but then you're still dealing with the Cottonmouth fallout for the rest of the season, whilst also building up Diamondback. So it's just like you're stacking more and more on there. But
And, of course, Diamondback at the end is visited by the doctor that did the experiment on Luke, and he still has those files, even though Luke tried to destroy them. So, I mean, I didn't really enjoy Diamondback, and the idea of him coming back with superpowers just to have a more even fight with Luke doesn't sound all that appealing to me. But
I mean, I'm excited to see Alfre Woodard be more of a big villain, like, because I think she didn't get to. She was really good in that first season, but I don't think she got to go full villainous, and I'm excited to see her kind of chew scenery a little bit, and I'd like to see maybe some flashbacks, like Mahershala Ali is probably like maybe free for a few days to do a couple of like flashback scenes and stuff like that, because you want to have the Oscar-winning actor on your television show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they brought Kingpin back. They're bringing Kilgrave back. Like, they will bring these characters back.
Yeah.
With Luke Cage, I just don't know what the meat of it is. I can see the setup, I can see the end goal, I just don't know how they fill the time in between, because a big thing in Season 1 was he's kind of, and sort of in Defenders, he's kind of a pacifist in some ways. Like, he would prefer that you come and try and punch him and then he just gives you like a little flick. Like, he's not really big on like going after people as much, and he's like a reluctant hero, but by the end of that first season, he's embraced the role of the hero. By the end of the Defenders, like, Stick's gotten into his head about, you need to, like, actually try a bit more in these fights. So my fear is that, like, in a world where Luke Cage is more proactive, what's his obstacle on Earth?
Well, the thing is, I'd like to see, because obviously the Luke Cage in the comic books is very much that leader figure.
Yeah.
Like, he was the leader of the New Avengers. He is the leader of the current set of Defenders. He was the leader of the Heroes for Hire. Like, that is what his character is. And it feels like we're kind of building up to him being a leader of something. But the Netflix shows aren't going to commit to that, because Daredevil is the Daredevil
maker,
but the issue there is Daredevil is fundamentally the loner character. He doesn't team up with other people.
Yeah.
It's why it took.
Well, he needed talking into it. And...
He did, but it took him. I think in the comics, it took 2010 for Daredevil to join an Avengers team.
Yeah, like he had that Spider-Man thing going on, didn't he?
Yeah, and now we've got him like as the central figure of this universe. Where if there is a Defender season 2, he's probably still going to be the leader of it, even though Luke Cage, his entire arc seems based around the fact that he should be leading people. He is an inspirational figure, especially in the black community and stuff like that. And it would make sense to kind of roll in like other characters. Like, I would like to see Luke and Misty and Claire and Colleen and Danny kind of like as a smallish team. Like, and you could tell those characters interacting were the kind of the other best bit of Defenders was that kind of section of the universe kind of like growing and populating and stuff like that. And I'm waiting for the day when they just go like, after season 2 of Luke Cage and Iron Fist, they just merge into that one show and become Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, that's the secret pitch here for season 2 of Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Just do Heroes for Hire. You bring up some good points. Like, I would like to see like that hero's journey of Luke embracing the role of like, look, I know I'm not Daredevil, but I can do this, and like him being like inspirational figure. I hope the Jizza is the Wu-Tang cameo in season 2 after Method Man, but I'll take any of them.
Method Man's a real actor though.
A real actor. Come on now.
Method Man is in one of the greatest television shows of all time as like a proper recurring character with depth and like an actual full-on arc.
Yeah, and his performance in Luke Cage season 1 was stellar. Anyway.
He did the rap.
He did do the rap. He did do that. That's true.
Maybe they're just going to throw in more and more members of the Wu-Tang Clan until they just do a full-on Wu-Tang rap.
Yeah.
Like each season they all just like team up more and more.
Well, the theme song is from that Ghostface album, I think. Or there's Adrian Young and Ghostface did an album, and like Adrian Young does the theme song for Luke Cage, and I think one of the songs from the album is in the show. I don't know. Wu-Tang all over.
I did not realize that the theme song was that impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's okay.
I also looking at season 2, I didn't realize that Lucy Liu is directing the first episode.
Cool. I don't know why that's cool, but that's cool. Luke Cage, I don't know. I'm open to it. More so after watching it again in my mad rush to get ready for Defenders.
Again, I think it has the tone down, and I think, like, of the Netflix shows, I think the showrunners I trust the most are Chia Hadari Coker and Melissa Rosenberg. Like, they're the two that got the tone of their shows the most right. Especially since Daredevil has gone through so many different showrunners by this point, and the ones who inspired the most hope have kind of left the Netflix universe. So,
right? Let's do Daredevil next, I guess. We'll save my grand pitch for the end. Who is running season 3?
I think it's Marco Ramirez. Is it Ramirez? Yeah, I think Marco Ramirez is, because he ran Defenders without Doug Petrie, because Doug Petrie had to bow out.
Yeah.
So I think Marco Ramirez is running season 3. Possibly Doug Petrie will be 3 for season 3.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard, like, they haven't left. They haven't been offered an ABC show like other showrunners.
So is Marco Ramirez, is he the Russo twin? He just gets everything.
No, he's a nice guy from when I met him.
Oh, yeah. And you met Charlie Cox. Yeah.
I met Charlie Cox and Finn Jones and Marco Ramirez.
I noticed you didn't get a photo op with Finn Jones.
I know. I have a photo op with Finn Jones. I just haven't sent you that one.
Oh. Yeah, that lovely night that I pitched to you, and then you went without me and got pictures with them. And I could have actually talked to Finn Jones about Iron Fist. I'm like, bro, I got your back. While you just faked it. I'm like, yeah, I love Iron Fist.
I'm not going to disparage Finn Jones, but he did. The first words out of his mouth were lads, 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 lads.
Oh, Finn. All right, Daredevil, season 3. I love Daredevil. I think most people love Daredevil. I really enjoyed his arc in Defenders. That story of him being an addict to being Daredevil and him trying to fight his true nature, that this, as Elektra always needled him, you know, that this want for violence exists within him and he has to temper it, and, like, you know, how that conflicts with his faith and how he's constantly going to confessional, and, you know, he'd been however many months sober and then the earthquake and he has this quick relapse and then he's actually full on back in it despite all these promises he's made and the life he wants to live and all that. I thought that was really interesting, and I mean, I haven't read Born Again, but I'm vaguely familiar with the plot. But he is, at the end of Defenders, presumed dead. He is in the nunnery, the wherever he is, with those nuns that presumably raised him. They call for Margaret, Sister Maggie, whatever, his mother. So I think they have an opportunity here to have Matt basically pretend to be dead for a while and try and carve out an existence as someone else. I believe a part of Born Again has him and Karen living together in like a derelict apartment, and he like gets a job at a canteen or somewhere. Yeah,
he works at like a diner,
yeah.
and because he can like hear and smell the food so well, it's like the best burgers anyone's had, and it's a really nice moment, like that Matt Murdock is like the world's greatest like fast food chef.
I think they have an opportunity here to have him basically. It would be daring because people love Daredevil. Daring. To see how long they can not pull the trigger on putting him back in the Daredevil suit or anything. Like, see how long they could make this show entertaining with just Matt Murdock for a while.
Well, I mean, I think the most important thing that you need to do for season 3 of Daredevil is make sure that Vincent D'Onofrio is back full time. Like, that is the most important thing I can think of about doing this season 3, is you need to lock down Vincent D'Onofrio. You don't want him for the 2-episode little cameos that you had him in season 2. You want him upfront and personal. This should be, if they're doing Born Again, to pose this as the final season of the show, this is like where you're going to end it all. And I think with these Netflix shows, I think they should have this shorter kind of runtime as opposed to like they run on forever. But like you get Vincent D'Onofrio back, you have Matt in the nunnery or like working as a chef, like not speaking to Foggy and Karen, and then because Kingpin can't find like these people, he starts to destroy the lives of the people Matt held dearest, and as you bring them to breaking point, you then get Matt to come out, because Matt is fundamentally the man who will protect anyone, especially his family. And I think that's an interest. Like, you spend 4 episodes of him trying to not be Daredevil, and then realizing the only way to protect his friends is to come out of this semi-retirement because Elektra is dead and this grief and all this other stuff, like to go defend Karen and go defend Foggy and go defend. And I mean, I'm hoping they don't kind of like chicken out and have Kingpin be the villain of a Defender season 2, which is like going to be set up and stuff like that, because this is such a fundamentally personal story between these two people after that first season. I think it would be a shame to kind of like waste that potential.
Yeah. We've been mentioning Born Again, like not everyone's going to know what that is, but a key part of that is the Kingpin learning Daredevil's real identity and then going about destroying his whole life, basically. And there is one of the episodes he's in season 2 of Daredevil, you can read that as he's figured out who Matt is.
Yeah, like
he certainly reels off all these details about his life, like he knows where he works, he knows about Karen, he knows about Foggy, and you know, he's building that little prison empire, and you get the impression he can leave whenever he wants. So I think there is definitely potential to do that. And I would stay away from the version of Karen that is a crack-addicted porn star.
I mean, I think it's weird because, like, obviously the Karen as crack-addicted or heroin-addicted porn star is the inciting incident of the entire book.
Because she sells the identity to one of Kingpin's people for crack, right?
Yeah, but like, obviously, the show's already figured out that, like, Kingpin's already figured out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, or he's most of the way there.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, like, the Born Again part of the story is the Kingpin destroying Matt's life until he ends up going insane or having a mental breakdown, and then he wakes up in the church with Sister Maggie, is kind of the end of the Born Again story, and then after that is his redemption.
Yeah, and they kind of are already at that point because he wakes up or he's unconscious, mirroring the front cover of Born Again at the end of Defenders. So they're kind of already there, but they could just sort of flip the timeline a bit.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then so like they've got a lot of stuff there that they can do. Like Kingpin finding out Matt's identity and systematically destroying his entire life is such an interesting thing to do. And when you have someone as good as Vincent D'Onofrio pulling those strings,
and just getting us back to like what was strong about season 1 of Daredevil, like Kingpin being so powerful, so ubiquitous. Like it's not just he's quite a wealthy, shady man. It's like he is everywhere. He can achieve everything. And rewatching some of it to get ready for Defenders, I really miss like that dynamic of like, Matt can beat up everyone he wants, but like he can't really fuck with Kingpin. And I think seeing him go after people like that, and what if he found out that Karen killed Wesley? And then he like makes a beeline for Karen, and then Daredevil has to step in, and maybe that's one of the final straws. I don't know, but
I think one thing I'm sad, and this is turning into kind of more like, the Born Again, how would you adapt it? But like a big part of the Born Again storyline is the interplay between Matt's storyline and Ben Urich's storyline.
Ah, yes.
Which obviously you can't really do. I mean, obviously you could turn Karen into the Ben Urich figure now that she's a journalist, which I think makes it a little bit more personal and whatnot. But like, I mean, one of the most iconic scenes of Born Again is Ben Urich has a phone call where someone murders a witness online to him whilst he's in the newsroom, and it's like one of those iconic comic pages that is like that changes the entire medium kind of thing, and I would love to see a version of it make its way into one of these shows.
Yeah, I think you transplant Karen's character onto Ben's. They've made her a journalist, like out and out, and I think she deserves. But I mean, it's not that you can't do a story about like a woman who has fallen on hard times and is a drug addict and does adult work. Like, there's no reason you can't do that, and I'm not trying to shame that, but I do think that like that's a tricky area, and also that's not the way they've gone.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine them going like, in between seasons, Karen has become addicted to heroin.
Yeah. Like, they're obviously not doing that. I just think, I think that's a reason to go down the just give Ben's parts to Karen thing. And do you know who could really help out with all of this? And he knows what I'm going to say. Iron Fist could wear the suit to throw off Kingpin's assertions that it is Matt. Because at the end of Defenders, he is kind of like on the rooftops, and like throughout the season, he's kind of like idolizing Matt a little bit, and he thinks his costume is cool and his stuff is cool. So I don't know. I'm not saying they'd do it, but I think maybe like Kingpin like so sure that Matt is Daredevil, and then suddenly Matt and Daredevil are in the same room. That might be kind of cool. One episode. I mean,
it would be cool. Like in terms of that is the role that Iron Fist played during Civil War.
He did. I don't think Finn Jones could look like Charlie Cox in that suit, but we'll see.
I mean, I think if you cover up the kind of curly hair,
but could he grow a beard? That is his stubble that sick? Like he gets like hobo beards,
Yeah.
I think I personally, I'm an Iron Fist fan, so like that's where that's coming from, and I would like to see more crossovers. I would like to see Jessica Jones help Matt sort of work the opposite way against Kingpin, and like get some dirt to help him out. Like,
I mean that should be an underwritten rule of like all the stuff we're saying is now Defenders has happened. I want these casts to be crossing over more.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's more fun and they've got chemistry, and I don't think obviously there are going to be people who only watch one of these shows or only watch two of these shows.
Yep. And that's why they've got a task on their hands to convince them not to, by saying like, oh, look at this guy, he's cool, want to see more of him.
But yeah, I mean, it's similar. Like when you have like back in the day when Buffy and Angel would cross over, or to use a more modern term, the Chicago shows when Chicago Fire, PD, Justice and Law crossover for one night every few months and stuff like that.
Or the CW crossover shows.
Or the CW, the night that Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, and Supergirl all crossover. That's kind of where you want to get up to. But obviously, with it being Netflix, it's not going to be like that because the seasons get dumped all at once. So you can't really tell someone, right, we know you're 8 episodes into this season, but you also now need to go watch one episode each of these other shows for the episode 9 of the show to make sense.
Yeah, well, they don't need to do it like that, but I mean, I do think I think they could afford to toss in a scene or two just to sort of hey, look, they are still friends with each other. It's not like the Defenders happened and then they conveniently forgot each other existed until next season of Defenders.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that the movies have been doing very well. Yeah. Where if the character's in a situation where they can't really interact with anyone else, then they can't interact with anyone else. But the Civil War is obviously everyone's coming in to kind of bandage together in this, and Cap's cameos in Spider-Man: Homecoming and his cameo in Thor: The Dark World. I mean, basically more Cap is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see Cap in Daredevil season 3. Because, I mean, again, and now to go back to Born Again, one of the most iconic things about Born Again is that Frank Miller does his interpretation of the Avengers, which is kind of how you would imagine the Avengers would be if you were just a guy on the street. They are otherworldly. They come in and basically save everything, and they seem so hyper-confident and stuff like that. And it would be a great show of faith to see Chris Evans show up, because New York is his home as well. It's not just the home to the Defenders. If he comes in to defend Queens or
Brooklyn. He says Brooklyn, Spider-Man says Queens.
Yeah, I mean, again, even Tom Holland showing up for one of these things, Spider-Man should play into these kind of things.
Hey man, I've always said that, because allegedly Sony get to use one Marvel character each film, I would like to see Daredevil in a future Homecoming film. I mean, that's probably not ever happening, but why the hell not? If they're not going to give Daredevil a movie, shove him in Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, especially because they have that history together. They are the two loner heroes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I would love to see a Spider-Man Punisher Daredevil movie, because I think the three of those characters have some of the best interplay in that all three of them have got fundamentally different ideals behind how they do this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean...
would you be excited for a Punisher episode of Daredevil Season 3?
Sure, why not? I mean, Matt is the one that judges Frank and is yeah, their interactions together were amazing. The rooftop episode, the monologue after Matt saves him, that was all good stuff. So I think their chemistry and the sort of the history of the characters, trying to keep him in check and all that, I think that would be something that would be worthwhile. But I don't know, I think you just... In some ways, even though I'm calling for crossovers, I think you declutter Daredevil Season 3 a bit, because Season 2 had that problem with, okay, it's Punisher, now it's Elektra, now it's the Hand, now it's Elektra again. It was difficult. So I think you maybe try and divorce yourself from getting too muddied. You do just Kingpin. You do, the drama of him trying to build a new life and being tempted back, but I think they've earned an audience at this point, and I think they could get away with going less actiony for the first sort of several episodes, and there can be some fights or whatever going on, but I think if it was the first season, you absolutely have to have him fighting people as often as possible to win people over, but I think people are in for a third season of Daredevil, and they could get away with doing something a bit more nuanced. And
I think you can do the nuanced thing, but again, I think you need Vincent D'Onofrio back full time. You can't do those 4 episodes. Those 4 episodes should be split pretty evenly between Matt living a civilian life and Kingpin doing something to try and destroy Matt's world.
Yeah, because and then Iron Fist in the Daredevil costume. I get you. I hear you, man.
And the second question is related back to Born Again. Sure. Would you be excited if Nuke showed up?
I would not. I'm never excited when Nuke is anywhere near a camera.
But it gets him away from Jessica Jones.
I don't care where he goes. I just don't want him. It doesn't matter where he is. I'm watching all these shows. Oh, what a dumb character. All right, dumb characters according to most people. Iron Fist time. So, if you've read or listened to anything to do with this site, you'll know I am the guy that likes Iron Fist, despite all you cool kids on the internet being like, oh, Iron Fist sucks, lol, 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 lol.
Why do you like Iron Fist, though, Matt?
It's cool. Martial artist, he goes on a journey, he learns, he loves, He is respectful to his woman in a way that a lot of Marvel characters aren't. It's good times. I love the Meachums. No, I don't like the Meachums.
No, God. That's my pitch for season 2 of Iron Fist is forget the Meachums ever existed.
Joy and Ward die in a car crash.
Like, that was my favourite part of Defenders, was when they go to...
Is Ward here?
Ward's away. It was like, good, thank God.
It's just every scene is like, where's Ward? Oh, you just missed him. You just never see him. Setting up Joy as a villain is dumb as hell. I won't defend that. But the problem with Iron Fist is they were cowards about it. They were scared to go too mystical. What's the guy's name? Jeff Loeb? I think he outright admitted...
Jeff Loeb's the guy who runs Marvel Television, and then you've got Scott Buck, who is the showrunner and he's credited as creator on Iron Fist, which was a very weird thing to watch come up.
Yes. For starters, Scott Buck is gone. He's gone to go make the terrible Inhumans show that's going to get cancelled. So already, I think that's a good thing for anyone who pays attention to like TV news.
He's gone to shave the hair off Medusa in quite possibly one of the most confusing moves anyone has ever made with one of these TV show adaptations.
A character whose entire skill set is based around her magical hair. They're shaving her head. More giant dog, please. So yeah, Jeff Loeb, I think, admitted they were having trouble with getting the tone to match the other 3 shows that wanted to be a bit more gritty. I dispute that they're all that gritty, given that there is a man that can make people do whatever he says, and there's mystical ninjas running around who resurrect people. Nevertheless,
the season 1 finale of Luke Cage has a man getting into a super suit and punching people in the middle of...
Sure does.
In the middle of Harlem.
Sure does. But apparently Iron Fist is too much. And I think that is why we saw so much corporate espionage and bullshit in season 1. As a fan of the show, even I didn't like that stuff. I liked Danny's gradual journey from being an insufferable asshole to what I think is actually a heroic character. I think many people were just so annoyed by him generally that they were blind to that. And even if you acknowledge it, you're just like, I don't care, I don't like it.
You misspoke. He went from being an insufferable arsehole to being a slightly less insufferable arsehole.
But that's the character. I think, look, we've got a lot of like very grown-up heroes, we've got a lot of very like stoic people. Like, Jessica's traumatized, Matt's, like, Catholic, so obviously hates himself. Luke doesn't want to bother nobody. I think there's room for, like, this character that is very different from them and is, he is an asshole, and he learns from it. Like, a big problem that everyone has with it is it's whitewashing. It's the white savior who goes to Asia and is now Kung Fu master and can do everything. And, like... Maybe they should have cast an Asian American actor. I don't know. But by basically saying, okay, he's the worst, now we'll get him back from there. I think that's a good thing to do, but it's also risky because people just don't like him. Anyway.
The thing is, I wish either the whitewashing is complicated because you have the issue of like, do you want to put an Asian American in that position to be the savior of all Asian Americans kind of thing? Like, I've seen arguments both ways for casting a white actor and an Asian American actor, or just a straight Asian actor. But it's the fact that the show then didn't get Asian people behind the scenes all that much. Like, they got the white guy to write the show is a problem. They didn't populate the cast with many Asian actors. Like, Colleen Wing is probably the brightest light in the entirety of the show.
Oh, darling Colleen.
But even then, they bog her down by falling in love with him, and it's just like, well, really, look.
Hey,
you can say you enjoy their love story, but it's the worst of the love stories in all of these shows. Because Jessica Jones doesn't have one.
Well, there you go. She loses. No, she's got Luke, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but then that relationship with Luke feels the most realistic of all the relationships.
I don't know. Matt just bounces on Karen because his ninja ex-girlfriend shows up. That's pretty shitty of him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Danny treated her with... It doesn't matter. I'm not here to defend Season 1. I'm here to say what I would do to make Season 2 better than Season 1. Killjoy. Kill War.
I want to see, like...
Kunlun.
Yeah, Kunlun, but, like, more Asian people with agency in the show.
Absolutely, and that ties into my pitch. So, as I said, the problem is they were cowards. They hid from Iron Fist. And they have an opportunity to do something completely different. You have 3 characters who are somewhat grounded in reality, even though one of them can fly and one of them's a super soldier person. But never mind that.
One of them hasn't flown technically in the show yet, though.
We haven't seen it on camera, but she's flown.
She's jumped.
She jumped out of shot, and everyone was like, did she just... And then Will blew up, and everyone was sad. Anyway, I say go the complete other way. Make Iron Fist as wacky mystical as humanly possible. Show me Kunlun. Show me a dragon. Do all of this stuff. Make it martial artsy as hell.
Especially when you've cast 2 actors from Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
In your show.
That's what they know. They know dragon. Show me Danny plunging his hand into Shao Lao's heart. I know that's going to be expensive. I'm not saying have a dragon in every episode, but... I mean, Netflix are fine with spending a shit ton of money, so why not spend some money on a dragon?
I'm sure the Doctor Strange sets are lying around somewhere that they can just use again.
Exactly. But I think a very cool thing to do would be... So Danny, Kunlun isn't really a thing for him anymore. He can't get there. And he's decided he wants to stay in New York. He wants to build a life with Colleen. He sort of idolizes Matt and is like, oh, that's kind of cool, being the savior of a city, going out on patrol rather than being, I am the sacred Iron Fist, I must defeat the Hand. I think the Hand need to be as far away from Marvel as possible for the foreseeable future. You can bring them way down the line.
There are two rules for Phase 2 of Marvel Netflix shows. No nuke, no Hand.
Okay. I'll take one of the 2, I suppose, but that would be great.
Also no Meachums, but... I know we're probably going to have to settle for...
Yeah, well. What I would do is, I would have I would just have Charlie Cox. Fuck it. I would have Danny and Colleen basically start training their own little clan of New York protector people. Right, the Hand have vanished. We know they'll be back one day. We need to get a generation of warriors ready. I would have them running a school, basically. I think the current run of Iron Fist, it's him teamed up with a teenage girl who is going to be the next Iron Fist. I'm not saying entirely emulate that, but throw in some characters of different backgrounds, have some Asian people, for God's sake. And I just think it would be fun seeing them run this school and fight other schools and have tournaments and make it martial artsy, and Davos is clearly going to be back as Steel Serpent. His school challenge. I'm saying make the Karate Kid. No, but I just think you can bring in all these other characters. Patsy could come and have some martial arts training with Colleen. Misty is joining the cast. Claire can come back and continue her training. I just think it would be sensible to make this... I think Danny operated much better as part of an ensemble than he did by himself, where he's taking all the load onto his shoulders, and he was criticised for that, and he sort of learned from it. And I think seeing him just be a rich kid who is just having fun being on that Defenders team was infinitely better than what he was doing in Iron Fist.
It's a shame that they decided he wasn't going to have fun anymore and tied him to a chair.
Cool seeing him fight all of them, though. Yeah, so I just think, give him a team, give him people to talk to all the time, have him and Colleen, constantly bouncing, basically keep them handcuffed to each other, because she makes him more bearable most of the time. I just think it would be a cool thing to see him, starting his own little clan, or whatever, of, people in New York who are going to keep New York, because if he believes that Daredevil is gone, and, the Hand are potentially going to be a threat in the future, create a sort of... Because another thing is, he's starting to learn that the teachings of Kunlun weren't necessarily the only way to go. He's always believed them, and, he represses his emotions, as does Davos. Davos, that turns out badly. Claire is dude, don't be an asshole, and he's yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that. So I think seeing him sort of fuse... Not completely abandon everything he learned in Kunlun, but sort of fuse this new life he's come to with the Defenders and everything in New York with the things he was taught in Kunlun, and create a sort of American chapter of the Protectors of Kunlun, and just do this super martial artsy show with I really enjoyed the episode where he does the 3 trials, and he faces these ridiculously cliched martial arts style characters, these mystical fighters. And I think just do some more stuff like that. Throw in Shang-Chi, the master of martial arts dude, man. I don't know, just go more mystical, make it more lighthearted, have a school, have more characters from him to interact with, and then don't do Iron Fists anymore and just do Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of that. I'd also love to see them do some stuff from the Matt Fraction, Ed Brubaker, David Aja run on Iron Fist, where they start to bring in the past Iron Fist and they start to build up that mythology. Like, I want to see a past Iron Fist, like maybe one who's retired or one he didn't know has survived, who teaches Danny how to use his skills better. Because that was one of the most interesting part of season 1 was Bakuto saying like, "Oh, you want to recharge your chi? Just do this." And it's like, "Oh, look, someone who actually knows their shit is teaching him how to do stuff."
I've killed Iron Fists before, and like you're the worst one I've met, and all that. And like they are allegedly immortal. I think it'd be cool to like see Matt challenged by another Iron Fist, and like I don't know, bringing this one onto his little team, and just that's my pitch. I don't know. I think the struggle there would be having villains that aren't the Hand, but I don't know. I just think that is the way to go, is to make it more team-based. Colleen's already got a school, and there are certain characters who end up in, like, the Heroes for Hire, like, the Daughters of the Dragon are a thing. So I'd do it like that. A world where Danny is, like, responding to the events of the Defenders and using his money in a smarter way, like, to fund this school and to, like, fix actual problems, but stay away from corporate espionage and like undercutting each other.
I really would like to see I'm just hearing stuff like I want them to do like Dragon Ball Z type things where they go to a martial arts competition.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, by having like his school against another school, like a tournament type thing. It might be cheesy as hell, but fuck it, just lean into it.
I mean, I also wouldn't mind. I mean, it's weird saying like I don't want the Hand to be in there, but I wouldn't mind like a globe trotting, mopping up after them type thing. Like, the Hand are gone, implicitly, but there are still things the Hand have set in motion that need to go away, and so they're not going to be fighting ninjas, but they're going to be cleaning up the streets of drugs, and you get an episode, like, badly green-screened London, and they do something there kind of thing, or...
Hey, their recreation of China was spot on.
Oh my god, that was absolutely terrible.
That was so pointless. But Drunken Kung Fu, another highlight. Do wacky martial arts stuff, guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, and the other most important thing is please hire directors who know, and stunt teams who know how to do this kind of thing. Yep. Like, the 2 best episodes of the show in terms of fight stuff were the ones that RZA directed, which is the one that you mentioned, which is the one where he fights 3 different assassins.
The Bride of 9 Spiders.
Yeah, and the one
by Kevin
Tancherone, who is married to Marissa Tancherone, who is the showrunner on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but also directed a load of Mortal Kombat web series,
which I watched all of, and are shoddy in the acting, but cool in the people beating each other up department.
I
mean, like Daredevil, like in theory, Danny is a better fighter than Matt, but like the stunt team on Daredevil is, and like Danny is more about fighting than Matt, in a way. Like, Matt is as much about like being a detective and like parkour and stuff like that, and yet the action is shot orders of magnitude better in Daredevil. So they need to step it up on that side of things. Like, Finn Jones has taken a lot of slack for not being a convincing martial artist. Like, spend a lot of money, get him in a gym, like, train him more. Like...
Well, I mean, you've got the 2 most important things you have to remember here is Daredevil got directors like Phil Abraham, who is one of the best TV directors. Like, he did Sopranos, he did the pilot for Mad Men. Like, he is, if you want a guy to direct your TV show, Phil Abraham's not a bad choice to get to do it. But then also, Matt has a costume, and it's easy to stick a stunt double in a costume, and to get them to do the fight scenes and that kind of stuff. And
well, maybe Danny should make his costume in season
Maybe he
2.
should, and then we can cover up Finn Jones' curly hair.
And recast Finn Jones quietly, and no one will notice.
I mean, that's the other thing in Defenders, is that they cut his hair an awful lot, so it isn't quite as afro-y.
Oh, I hated his mystical hobo look. And then his, I'm a businessman, but look at my ridiculously unprofessional hair look. Yeah,
and his ridiculously unprofessional shoes.
Yeah. Hey,
he looked like
Lex
David
Luthor
Tennant
had those in Batman v Superman.
Not a positive.
Not a positive.
But the other thing is also Daredevil's more of a brawler, and you can make more convincing. Like, if both people are getting beaten up, it looks a bit more realistic than one person completely owning everyone else in a fight scene.
This is true. Yeah, those are my big pictures. Just lean into your martial, own it, you know. And like now, everyone has seen what they've seen: dragons under New York, people coming back to life, all of that. Like, you've got Rain. Just let him be a crazy martial artist. It's different. Like,
Game of Thrones has just wrapped a season based almost entirely around the idea of dragons are really cool.
Yes.
And now you could also do this Iron Fist.
Yeah, I've heard this as a pitch as well. Like, I think a prominent Iron Fist villain at one point was a dragon, and they could just do that. But
if you're pitching Fin Fang Foom, then I'm all in.
I am pitching Fin Fang Foom, alien dragon monster. Okay, so this ran longer than I intended, but I think we got some good ideas out there. And those are our pitches for the second phase of Marvel Netflix. Also, throw in Moon Knight. Fuck it. Why not? Give pass.
Do the Warren Ellis run and just have it be really episodic and just kind of really cool.
Yeah.
So as an ending, I want to... What of these are you most excited for in their next season?
Well, I'm excited for Iron Fist Season 2.
Most excited for? You better not be most excited for Iron Fist Season 2.
I kind of am, because I want to see what it looks like without Scott Buck attached to it, you know? Like, I'm really excited for Daredevil, honestly. Like, I know that, like, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage are, like, about things and have things of social importance, but just the part of me that gets really excited, it leans towards Daredevil and Iron Fist more than it does those characters. I'm sure those will be two really good seasons of television that will do important things and be poignant, but just at heart, I am a kid that wants to see people fight people. So I want to see Daredevil Season 3 quite badly. I want to see Kingpin back and in charge, and I want to see a Scott Buckless Iron Fist Season 2. It wasn't a sarcastic answer. I might be most excited for that.
See, because Daredevil Season 3 is probably the one that I'm also most excited for, because, again, more Vincent D'Onofrio is never a bad thing, and I am the most agnostic person on Daredevil Season 2 that I know.
Yes, you are.
I have a friend on a podcast where they declared it the best show of last year, and I still shake my head repeatedly when I remember that is a thing that they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, but then Jessica Jones is my favourite of these seasons. I think it's the one that's is the most fully formed of all these shows.
Yeah.
It's the one that I really want to. I want to dive back into that world. Like, the most excited I was in Defenders was seeing Jessica Jones and Trish and Malcolm kind of like teaming up and doing PI stuff.
Yeah, Malcolm as her secretary.
Yeah, but my real answer is Runaways. I want Runaways now. Like, immediately.
But that's not part of this, Benjamin.
It's in the MCU and it's on Hulu, which is basically Netflix for us.
No, it's not.
Which is basically Netflix for us people living in the UK.
I guess. Give Elektra her own show.
No.
There you go. That's that dealt with. She's alive though, so she's clearly coming back. All right, there we go. That's been this one. Next time we'll focus in on one thing, and we'll each bring a more concise pitch than what you've heard here, which was quite rambly. But this is the basic idea of Pitch Please. We're people that come up with ideas at random for projects we'd like to see, and we're going to record them and put them out there. SoundCloud.com/Mike and Matt. Ben is neither Mike nor Matt, but he is a part of this now. I'm Matt though, and I'm part of that. EnterTheRealWorld.com. You can read Ben's tweets at
Nquoid, Nquoid, because I was young and stupid and did an unpronounceable thing.
Yeah, you did, and you are going to be pronouncing it every single time you plug it, my friend.
It's fine. Just imagine it's got a hyphen in the middle, but it doesn't. Is the easiest way I can go about it.
Doesn't help at all. I'm on Twitter at Matt C. Waters, but I don't tweet. It's just a giant ad for the real world. So as you're already here, no point. And yeah,
I went to check what I've most recently tweeted about, and it's Great British Bake Off. So look forward to those tweets as well.
Lads. I've been Finn Jones. He's been Charlie Cox. See you next time on Pitch Please.